Okay, hey everyone. Good morning, guys. I think we are good to get started. Let me quickly share my screen. Okay. So we learned till if else in the last session. To start off with, is there any questions or any doubts that you guys have? Okay, I think nobody has no other doubts. All right. In that case, the agenda for today will be that we'll start with the other loop statements, the other conditional and loop statements, and we'll do a lot of practice today because tomorrow we will learn about the collection data types like list, set, tuple, and dictionary. So today's agenda is very pretty simple. We'll learn about other conditional statements, we'll learn about loop statements, and we'll do a whole lot of practice so that you guys can develop and make your concepts even more smooth of how to utilize these things in problem solving and logic building. So that's the agenda for today. So I'll start with elif else. Okay. Now till now we learned about normal if else, right? We have learned about simple if else where we are checking for a condition. If that condition is true, then that particular if block of code gets executed. The moment the condition becomes false, the execution automatically enters the else block and the else block gets executed, right? That's what we have learned so far. But in this case, what is happening is, of course, you can add a lot of conditions in the if block, right? For example, you can write conditions like if A is greater than B and if A is greater than C, and then you have a code block, let's say, else you have another code block. Of course, you can write these codes where you have multiple conditions that you are combining using the logical operators and or else and etc and or not and etc. But apart from this, like of course you can use multiple conditions combined within if, but what if you have a situation when you have multiple conditions to check? Like for example, if I want to check that something like if A is greater than B, let's say if A is greater than B, then maybe I want to execute code 1. But if let's say A is greater than C, then I want to execute, let's say, code 2. So let's say I have multiple such stages of conditions that I want to execute and understand. And these cases, I will use elif. So elif is basically the short form of else if, right? And what Python does is it basically checks condition from top to bottom. Once the first condition runs true, the rest of the conditions will get executed. I mean, of course, if one of the conditions are true, then rest of the conditions will be skipped. And if none of the conditions are true, the else block runs and executes how it normally does. Let me show you an example. Let's say I take a marks input from user. Okay. And now let's say I want to, what I want to give the user is their grade. Based on their marks, I will give their grade to the user. So I can say that, let's say if marks is greater than equal to 90, then I'm going to print that this person's grade is A. So he's achieved grade A. L if, which means else if marks is greater than equals to, let's say, 75. In that case, I will print, let's say, grade L if, let's say, marks is greater than equals to 50, we'll print grade C. So you can have multiple such conditions. Let's say else, we'll print grade D. Right. So what will happen in this case? In this case, when once the marks is entered, let's say marks X is entered, it will start with executing the conditions and it will move from top to bottom. So it will check the first condition. Is X greater than equals to 90? If X is greater than equals to 90, then well and good, we print grade A and we skip all the rest of the statements. But if this condition becomes false, we move to the next condition and we check if grade is greater than equals to 75. If this condition is true, the second condition is true, then it prints the code block or it executes the code block for the second L if condition that I have and skips the rest of the code. If this is also false, it moves and checks the third condition. If the third condition is true, it executes the code block that is associated with the third elif. Whatever is my third elif, it executes that part of the code and it basically skips the rest. But if this is also false, which means if none of the conditions are true, that's when it goes and executes the else part. Exactly how a if else was working, same thing, but here there are multiple layers of condition and Python starts executing these conditions from top to bottom. It starts with the first condition. If the first condition is true, it goes ahead and executes that code block. But if that condition is false, it completely moves to the second one and likewise. So it moves in layers basically. Now, if I execute this code, now see, if I give 95, the answer will be grade A. Because in this case, the first condition became true. And I could execute the code block that is associated to the first condition. But if I enter, let's say, for example, if I enter 80. Now, in this case, the second condition becomes true. In this case, when it started, if when it started checking the conditions, the first condition became false. So this statement is not even executed. It moves to the second condition and it sees that this condition became true. So it executed and printed grade B. Rest of the conditions are obviously skipped. It will not be checked because obviously second condition became true. And in case like, for example, I give 60, grade C. So in this case, first two conditions became false. Third one became true, it got executed and rest of the, like the else part is skipped because obviously I got the third condition true. But in cases like, let's say someone scored 40. In these cases, none of the conditions were true. That's when the execution went to the else part, the last part, and that got executed. So grade D got the answer, right? So in cases when you have multiple such conditions that you want to check, that if this is not true, okay, fine, I want to check for this condition. If this is also not true, I want to check for another condition. And that's a more practical also, I mean, that's a more practical way of handling multiple situations as well. In those cases, we basically use if elif else, right? So is that clear for everyone? Is this clear for everyone? Can everybody give a yes or no? Okay, I'll give you one more example. Let's say you are building a food delivery app. Okay, so you are building a food delivery app, and you are planning to give discounts based on the order amount. You have often seen in apps like Swiggy or Zomato, right? They say that if your order amount is greater than 250 rupees, let's say, they will give you a 10% discount. If your order amount is greater than 500, you might get a higher discount. So let's say you are also building a logic which is very similar to that. So how will you write your code in that case? In that case, let's take the order amount first. So let's say I have a order amount that I'll take input. And if you can imagine the use case well, this order amount is obviously not something that user will enter, but I'm just giving it over here as an example. But think of it as a real app. In that case, this order amount will get calculated in the app, and you will be using it from, let's say, another cell or another part of the code. For now, imagine this order amount is being entered by user, and you're just calculating the final discount that this person will get. Okay. So if order amount is greater than equals to 500, we'll print something like 20% discount. And if order amount is, let's say, greater than equals to 300, print 10% discount. Else, print no discount. Right? So based on your order amount, let's say someone ordered for 560.9, they'll get 20% discount. If someone has ordered, let's say, for 400, that they will get a 10% discount. If someone has ordered for something like, let's say, 200, they will get no discount, and likewise. The whole process is pretty easy. You just have to mention different conditions based on your logic and based on your situation. And you have to break it down in like things like which makes sense. Like if this condition is true, rest of the conditions will be skipped, right? So is this clear till here, everyone? Can you guys quickly complete your execution till here if you are clear?
Meghna, I have one question. Uh,
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah. So order amount, can we give some value there instead of taking an input?
Yeah, you can. I just showed you with input because when you actually learn about all the other parts of the coding, right, you'll understand that if you're developing an app like this,
Mm-hmm.
uh, your order amount will come from another function. So the output of order amount will come from another function. And
Uh, so,
mm,
so if I have to give a order amount between say 800 to 1500, how do I give that between 800 to 1500?
like I didn't get your question that you want to have a order amount of your choice.
Yeah, yeah, my choice between like 500 to 1000, say, like that.
Yeah, so if you're
How can I give that condition?
oh, you want to add one more condition, you're saying.
I want to set order amount between 500 and 1000 for the first line of the code where
Yeah,
you've given the input, where you're taking the input.
you can write this.
Okay. So I should not be defining the variable, the order amount in the starting then? Can I give it directly like this in the if statement?
No, you will need a variable, right? OA or order amount is your variable that contains the actual value, right? And that is something I'm taking from a user. So you need a variable which stores your order amount, right? So either you give it hard coded based on your direct value, or you take it from user, but it has to have some value. And then you take that value and you check with multiple conditions.
So if I have to hard code in the beginning itself, I want to set a condition like it should be between like 500 to 1000, where you have taken the input. Can I give it there? Like order amount is between like 500 to 1000. How do I give that?
Uh, no, in that case, you will have to make it something like you have to take the order amount input and then you have to say if OA is between 500 to 1000, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I have
Is
to do that.
greater than equals to 500 and
Okay.
OA is less than equals to 1000. In that case, let's say you don't want to check this condition, your all these conditions are something that is fine for you. In that case, you will have the entire whatever we wrote till now, you will have to put that all in the if else block, something like this.
Oh, okay. There'll be two ifs then in the starting. Okay.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
okay. Thanks.
Else
Yeah.
print, please enter values within 500 to 1000, like this.
Okay. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and if I don't want to take the input, that enter order amount, I'll just remove that and I'll just
If you
give
don't want to
oh.
take input also, you will get your order amount from somewhere, right? Either you
Mm-hmm.
will directly, like if you will directly give a value like 560. Yeah.
Okay.
In that
Mm-hmm.
case, obviously you don't need the outer if else because it's on your control. Whatever you want, you can enter a value. But you will have to take the order amount from somewhere, either user input or you give the value yourself, or you are taking the value from the output of some other function when you have a lot of functions in your food delivery app. But you need the input like you need the value to be able to execute this.
Okay. Got it. Thank you.
What about others? Everybody's done till here? 2 minutes? Okay. Okay. Now that we have understood if else and this whole logic that we have just seen, okay, can we do a quick round of practice, guys, for everyone? Before we move to other looping statements, I want you guys to just practice on solely this topic, because the other topic, which is loop, is going to be a little different, and you might be able, I mean, you might get confused on that. So I want you guys to master this part, if else completely, and then we can move to the next loopings and etc. What about others? Are you guys up for some practice? Okay. So I have few questions which I'm gonna add in this particular assignment doc. Okay. You guys have the link to this doc already, right? I'm gonna add it here as well. There are literally just 8 questions. And I'm assuming for 8 questions on an average, it should take you 3 minutes, 3 to 4 minutes. I've put the link, the doc link in the chat box. If you click on the link, it will open the Google Doc and it will show you these questions over here. So can I assume that maybe by 10:05 we can discuss the answers or the doubts? Does that sound good for everyone? Okay, so you guys can get started. If you feel if there's any doubt that you have in mid between, feel free to ask me, and feel free to keep posting your answers also in the chat box so that I can see if you guys are being able to solve, or is it too tough for you, and etc. Okay, I couldn't see even one answer till now. What about everybody? Are you guys solving the questions? If you are, please start putting up the answers in the chat box. Yes, got it, Vinay. So the first question, I'll quickly solve the first question for people who are still struggling to start off. Ask the user for a temperature. So let's quickly take a temperature input from user. Yes, and it's very simple. So I'll start with checking if the temperature is greater than equals to 35. I'm going to print too hot. If if the temperature is greater than equals to 25 and temperature is less than equals to 35, you can either write it this way or you can write it like a tertiary operator, like something like this. You can also write it this way, right? If the temperature is less than 35 and greater than equals to 25, in that case, we will print warm. And if the range is between 15 to 24, 15 greater than equals to T less than 24, we are going to print cool, and else we are going to print cold. So if I give a temperature like 24, it should print me warm. I think we can simplify this particular condition to be looking something like this. Instead of complicating the conditions, we can maybe simplify it by just making it this way. And I think this completely aligns with the question conditions given as well, right? Okay, I can see all the answers that you guys are sending. I'll meanwhile go through them. But this question is clear for everyone, the first question. What about the rest of you guys? The first question is clear for everyone. Okay. I think I can give you guys 10 more minutes to complete the rest of the questions and then we can discuss the doubts. Okay, are we all good till here? Are we done, everyone? No. What about others? Can you please let me know if you guys are done or not? Okay, I can give you guys 2-3 minutes more maybe. Okay, are we good? I can see some errors. Let me check. So when you're checking the operator, if it's addition or subtraction and etc. Yeah, exactly. And you're printing A plus B, like you have to print the addition value. Like instead of doing this, you should do, if operator is plus, the output will be A plus B. If the operator is subtraction, the output will be A minus B. Same way, if the operator is multiplication, the output will be A multiplied by B. And likewise, so when I run the code, I enter two values and I enter an operator, it should give me the values. Okay, I think over here also, the operator that you're taking an input, you're converting it to int, which is not necessary. Why will you convert a operator to an integer? Only a number can be converted to integer, right? The rest of the things do not need to be converted to integer. So your code will run perfect if you don't convert it to integer.
Okay.
Got it?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
What about others? Are we all good till here? All the questions? Okay, I could see a lot of answers in the chat box, but I'll quickly go out with the answers. We have already solved two questions. I will solve the rest of the six questions, but I'll solve it a little fast so that we can complete it quickly. The second question is ticket pricing rules. So, mm, if age is less than 5, then free. If age is less than 12, then 150. Age less than 60, 250, or else 120. Okay, let's quickly complete this one. So I'll take the age input. And if age is less than 5, then the ticket is free. If age is less than equals to 12, then ticket is 150. If age is less than 60, then the ticket is 250, and likewise. So based on age, so let's say someone is 19, based on age, the ticket price will basically get determined. So that's the second question. Let's move to the third question. So ask for positive number. Okay, this is pretty easy. Let's take a number input from user. It can be any number. So I'll take in float. You can also take integer. That's okay. Doesn't matter that much. In this case, it doesn't matter that much. If the number is greater than 0, we know it's a positive number. So we will print positive. L if the number is less than 0, then we will print negative. Else the number is 0. There cannot be any other possibilities. That's it. So if I enter something like minus 98 point, or like a big number, it should give me the value negative. If I enter a positive number, it should give positive. And if I enter 0, it should give 0. Right? So this is also something which we are good with. Next question, the fourth one. Yeah, three numbers and print the largest one. This is also a very, very common question actually. So the logic for this question is something that I already have. So we will take three numbers input, and if A is greater than B and if A is greater than C, that means I know A is the larger number. But if that's not true, I'll check if B is greater than A and B is greater than C as well. Then B is the largest number, else C is the largest number. In this case, one assumption that we have is A is not equal to B and is not equals to C. And we are assuming that all of these three numbers are not equal to each other, because if they are, the logic will be different. They will then not have a larger number, they will have same numbers and etc. Right? So let's say I have three numbers. It will give me what is the larger number based on our logic over here. Okay. Fifth question I've already solved. We'll move to the sixth question. Wait and then calculate BMI. Okay. I have the answer to this one. Let's quickly take the weight and height input from user. Once we have the weight and height, I will calculate my BMI. BMI is nothing but weight divided by height to the power 2. That's the BMI calculation. So if my BMI is less than 18.5, then I'm going to print that this is a underweight, right? And in this case, BMI is equals to whatever BMI I have calculated. If BMI is less than 25, then I'm going to print normal BMI is equals to what I've calculated. If BMI is less than 30, I'm going to print overweight. BMI is equals to the value, else what was the last condition? Obese. So we'll just print obese. BMI is equals to BM. Right? So if let's say someone's weight is 60 and let's say someone's height in meters is 500, then their BMI is underweight, right? Like over here. Got it? Till here, is it clear for everyone? We have the last two questions left. Ask age and classify within child, teenager, and the shopping amount. Okay, cool. So the age question is pretty easy actually. So based on our age, the age entered, we will be able to classify if it's child, teenager, adult, or senior. And the last question is basically, I think, shopping amount. If it's greater than 5,000, 20% discount, or else 10% discount. Okay, so this is also easy. We can take the amount input from user. Based on the amount, we can calculate the discount amount and final payable likewise. So if let's say someone has shopped for 4,500, then the discount will be 450 rupees and the final payable will be 4,050 rupees. That completes all the questions that we were practicing. So is it clear till here for everyone?
Meghna, can you please show the sixth one once?
Yeah. Everybody, can you comment if you guys are clear till here all the questions and the concept of if else? Okay, got it. Anybody, any doubt, any question till now? We are good. Can we move ahead? Once you guys are done with all the corrections and etc., I'm just waiting for everybody. Let me know if we are good and we can move ahead with the next topic.
I'm good, Meghna. What I noticed is it is almost all of them are like, the questions are different, but the way we write the code is the same, in the
Yeah,
sense, if, elif, else.
yeah,
And it can have n number of questions with the same theme, in the sense, once the weight, once the temperature, the other way is finding the numbers, which is first, which is last, second, third, and all.
right.
Uh,
That's because we have just learned about if else, right? So just to make this part smooth for everybody, we are practicing a lot, because so that when new problems arise, if somewhere in some situation you have to use if else, you're pretty clear with that syntax and how to write it and how to create the logic around it.
I'm just trying to reaffirm my understanding.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All
And this
right.
for
Yeah.
any number of lines, I mean, any number of asks. Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't get your last part. Can you come
Now,
again?
three ellipses with one if and the other else, but it can be any number. There is no restriction.
Yeah, there is no restriction.
Okay.
All right. Next up, we will start learning about looping statements. And more specifically, we'll start with for loop, one of the most used loops. Okay. And we'll understand what it does, how does it help us, and etc.
May I say that because we are starting a new one, can we break and then start, so there will be no interruption in that?
So I am planning to just complete the overview part.
Oh,
Okay.
good.
Yeah, and then before practicing, I'll give you good amount of break, and then we'll come back again. Don't worry.
Thank you.
Okay. So let's start with for loop. Okay. Now for loop is one of the loop, like I'm saying, that it is being used one of the, I mean, it is being used in most flexibility, versatility, and it is used in a lot of situations, lot of problems, lot of problem solving use cases, and etc. So in general, what does the word loop means? In general, the word loop means something that goes again and again and again and again. It means something that is happening on repeat, or something that is repeating itself again and again, right? That's what the word loop means. So in Python also the same thing. If you're trying to do a task again and again and again and again, that means you're trying to loop through the task, right? And for loop is one such loop in Python, which is used when you already know how many times you want to repeat an action, right? So I'll write it over here. It's used when we know how many times a action is to be repeated. Okay. For example, think it like I want to say hello. Let's say I want to say hello and I have 10 friends. So I have to say hello to 10 friends, right? So I'll whenever I meet them, I'll have to greet and say hello to them. So I have to do this task 10 times. Because I already knew that I have 10 friends, I can already think that I have to do this step 10 times. That's like, for example, that's like using a loop. Now instead of writing something like hello, friend 1, and then in same way, hello friend 2, and hello friend 3, and dot 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 friend 10. Instead of writing so many manual print statements, right, you can actually automate or ease in this task using a for loop. Now, how a for loop works, let's understand the syntax of for loop first. So what we do is we start with for, we start with writing for, we declare a variable over here, it can be any variable, okay, and we give in and we give a sequence. And we give the colon, and whatever code we want to repeat, we mention it within a indentation. The same indentation that you have learned in if, else, and etc. So this variable is called a iterator variable or a temporary variable, because this variable will help you go through a number of steps and repeat the code as in how you want it. For example, if I write something like, and also again, just for everybody who is not clear with the word sequence, the word sequence means a group of items. Sequence means a group of items. It can be something like a list. It can be a range of numbers. It can be a string, because string is also sequence of characters and etc. It can be any of that. Now we have not learned about list yet, so we are not going to utilize list. Tomorrow when we finish list, we'll come back and execute this again. But we know we will be able to utilize string and range of numbers, okay? And the code that you write inside the for loop is supposed to run for each time of the sequence, okay? See an example. So if I,
Make
yeah.
one. So sequence here is all this what you've listed, not necessarily one thing after the other.
No, it's not necessarily one thing after the other. It's basically any collection of items on any range of numbers, any list of items. Is like a collection of characters. So you can say it is like a sequence. So every character comes one after the other and etc. It doesn't have to be a logical sequence.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
So for example, if I take any temporary variable like I, usually in for loop as part of temporary variable, it's an industry norm to use numbers like I, J, and etc. Okay. So if I write for I in, let's say I have a string, for example, I have string like hello world. So this is a string. Hello world is a string. I've specified it within single quotes. It's a proper string. And string, like you know, is a sequence, right? Because it has a mixture of characters within it. So it is a sequence. Now here, if I print I, what happens is every character gets printed one by one by one over here. Now, why does this happen? Because, like you know, string is a sequence. What is happening over here? What is happening over here is I is a temporary variable that is used to iterate through every character or every value within your sequence. So when we start executing, initially I is equals to the first character. What is the first character? Your first character is age. So initially I is equals to age. So when I is equals to age, we enter the loop and we print I. So age got printed. We come out of the loop, I moves to the next character, which is E. So now I is holding the value E. That's why it is called a iterator variable or temporary variable. Because it helps you iterate through the sequence. Now it holds the value E. Now we again enter the loop, we again execute the code. So E gets printed. We come out of the loop, we move to the next one. So now I is equals to L. Why is it getting printed in new line? Because print has a default behavior, right? Whenever a print statement is executed, the cursor always moves to the next line. That's why with every loop, like every time the loop is running, all the characters are getting printed in new sentences. But again, like you already know, we have learned about print statement already, right? If I quickly customize the end parameter and I put it like a space bar over here, everything will get printed in one single line. So it's because of the default behavior of print statement, which always prints everything in new line. That's why it is getting printed in new lines over here. Got that? Clear till here? Exactly. For is used for repeating something, and the process of repeating something is called as loop, right? So for loop is like a programming tool, syntax, code that lets you repeat a series or a set of actions again and again, right? It is helping you repeat a set of actions for every item in a particular sequence. It's like checking off a to-do list, right? Where you're performing the same task for each item until the sequence is empty, right? So imagine you have a box of chocolates. Okay, imagine you have a box of chocolates. So this box of chocolates is like your sequence because it is a collection of a lot of items together. So for loop is going to, like, for here a for loop says that for each chocolate in this box, we will do a particular action. Let's say my action is that I will unwrap the chocolate and I will eat it. So I'll take one chocolate at a time. I will unwrap it, eat it. Again, I'll move to the second chocolate, unwrap it, eat it. So I'm performing the same action to every chocolate in the box one by one. That's the concept of for loop. It automatically keeps track of which chocolate you are currently on and which chocolate should you move to in the next one after you're done eating the first chocolate. So this will continue until and unless there are no more chocolates left in the box. That's how a for loop works. So when you write this code for I in hello world, your hello world over here is your sequence because it's a string. So string is obviously a sequence because it's like a collection of items, a collection of characters. So the loop will iterate over this collection of items or characters over here. I is your temporary variable. You can name it anything, but in each cycle of the loop, I is going to hold each item one by one, right? So here what you're doing is with the for loop, you're telling Python that you're starting a for loop. Then you're declaring I. I is the temporary variable, and in each cycle of the loop I will hold the current item being processed, right? Then you're writing in is nothing but like a connector. That means like it's like saying for loop that we are going to use I in this particular sequence, and your sequence is hello world, and inside the code block you are basically just, your code block is just running once for every item in the sequence, and it's indented. You have an indentation which shows Python that this belongs to this for loop. That's it. So how is the execution happening over here? I starts with storing each item one by one. So when i's value is h, we enter the loop, we print h. The cursor moves to next line, we come out of the loop, we move to the next element. The next element is e. We enter the loop, we print E, the cursor moves to the next line, we move to the next element in the loop, which is L, and this continues until and unless we move to the last element, we print it, we come out of the loop, and now when nothing is left in the sequence, this is when for loop knows that I'm done with my work, there is no other element present in my sequence, and that's it. That's it. This is where the loop finishes, right? So the for loop here is simply just iterating over each character in the string, and it's basically performing the same action of printing the character during each cycle of the loop. So it's a very common way to process your data in sequences like strings, lists, or etc. Got it? If we want to put a test condition, like just print the first five characters, how will we do that? In that case, we will have to use another function called range. We'll learn about range, and you can control the numbers and the number of sequences and etc. There's a lot more to for loop as well. This is like the most basic overview of for loop. Is that clear till here?
Yes, I think the colon indicates the indentation for all of them.
Yes, colon. Whenever you give colon, it means Python knows now indentation is getting to be started.
Thank you.
Everybody clear till here? Can I
Uh,
get some responses?
so Meghna, for now, we should just keep in mind that for is used for repeating any task, correct?
Yes. For
Okay.
is anyway used to repeat a particular action or set of actions in number of times.
Okay.
It should
Got it.
be like for and then in. For example, for I in hello. So
Yeah.
for, will they go hand in hand always, Meghna, or are there exceptions?
No, when you are trying to use it with a sequence like this, you will use in always. And it will it will always be in actually. Yeah.
Got it. Like if else, it is easy to remember, so clarifying.
Yeah, it is always in. You're always saying that this particular temporary variable is going to work with this particular sequence. Got that?
For example, if I want to, write as for I in hello as a one and the as the first iteration and world as the second iteration, not as individual characters, then I have to write the code in print loop. Am I right? Separately.
Like you want to print something like hello
Hello
and
and
then world like this.
yes.
Yeah, you can still use a for loop, but the way you write your for loop will get different. Y-
Okay.
Yeah, you have to control your sequences and etc.
Okay. I think that's a bit advanced. That's fine.
Yeah, you can put a if condition actually.
Okay.
That if I is equal to exclamation. Yeah, like you will have to put your if condition in a way that it gets printed all at once, basically. So you'll have to break it in between and etc.
Meghna, any such things like to stop the for loop, any
Yeah,
condition,
definitely.
can we have it over there?
Definitely, you have stopping conditions like break, you have
No, no, no.
continue.
Like for example, if there is n number of ranges, like we have in other languages, right? Like for this is like a for each we use. Like regular for will have a condition to stop.
You can add a if condition in between. Like for example, if
In the for syntax, we don't have any condition.
inside the for, like for example, how you do in Java, you have increment, decrement like that. Or
Yeah,
you
and
have,
also condition will also be there.
yeah, I remember. So it is used to be something like this, right?
Yeah, and the condition and the
Yeah,
iterator.
I less than equals to, let's say, 12 and etc.
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't happen. So in Python, your for syntax will always be this. If you want
Okay.
to add condition, you can add the condition in between. Like if you understand range, your
Yeah.
your code will be something like this. Let's say this. You can add a condition that if I is less than equals to 5.
Okay. Not in the for
Not in the
syntax.
for, exactly.
Okay.
So
This is
for
printed
obviously
5.
only to, only to define the range. I mean the sequence.
Yeah. You are
For
defining the temporary variable and what sequence it should run on.
yeah, I mean it only I'll identify those two, the
Yeah,
temp variable and all that follows, which will be assigned to that variable. And actually, the code is the thing which will tell that what to do.
exactly. The code will define what to do, how to do, and etc.
Okay, that's where we have to be creative. Thank you.
Any other questions still here?
I think I understood the concept. Thanks, Meg.
Okay, what about others? Very good. Okay. So I wanted to talk about the next thing that we will be using a lot with the for loop is range. Okay. The range is like a function which basically generates a range of numbers. As simple as that. It generates a range of numbers. Again, understand this part that range is supposed to only generate a range of number, not print it. Okay. It is the whole work of range function is to just generate a range of numbers. Its work is not to print or showcase the output. Okay. And how range work is range. I mean, inside range, you can give a starting value, you can give a stopping value, and you can give a step value. We'll understand each of them. But the only thing that you should always specify or the mandatory part is stop. Stop is mandatory because you always have to give where will you stop. But let me show you with a simple example. If I generate, for example, if I write a range of 1, comma 5, in this case, what I'm specifying is I'm starting from the value 1 and I'm stopping at the value 5. Okay. So this will basically generate the numbers. This will basically generate the numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4. Right? Now you might ask why 4, why not 5? Because sorry.
No, go ahead.
Because in general, it always stops one behind the stop. That's a default behavior of range function. So range function is a built-in Python function that basically generates a sequence of numbers, and it's most commonly used with for loops because that way you will be able to specify for loop how many times do you want the loop to run. Basic, as simple as that. So it is not actually creating a list of numbers in memory. Instead, it's just generating the numbers one by one as and how they're needed. So which is very efficient with memory usage and for large sequences as well, right? So it just generates a sequence of integers starting from the start number and going till the stop number, but not including the stop number moving. I mean, it just stops one behind the stopping number. That's how range works. Now, like I said, it has start, stop, and step. The only mandatory thing is stop because you always have to mention where do you need to stop. Start and step is optional. If you don't mention start, it will start with 0. If you don't mention step, it will always be 1. We'll understand step in a while, but I'll just show you an example. So if I write for I in range, okay, before that, if I just mention range 1, comma 5, if you see it, the output that I get is very simple. It just gives me the same thing. Like I said, range is not supposed to show you the output or print the output. It is just supposed to generate numbers and show you I mean, it is just supposed to generate numbers one by one based on your sequence. So that's the reason why it is used with for loop whenever you have to define a range of numbers. So now with for loop, if I write for I in range 1, comma 5, and now if I print I, so if you see 1, 2, 3, 4 was generated by range, and I basically looped through each number that got generated in this range of numbers and it printed them one by one like over here. Right, so this way I will be able to specify in for loop that I am trying to run the for loop exactly 4 times. So if I have to greet hello to 10 friends, I know that I have to greet 10 friends. I know that it has to run 10 times. So I can write for I in range.
1 to 11.
Yeah, 1 to 11 because it will stop at 10. I can print hello friend. So it will print from 1 to 10. It will greet hello to all the friends. That's how you use for loop with multiple other things like string or range and etc. Clear till here, everyone?
Range can also be alphabet, like for example, A, B,
No,
C, D.
it's always a sequence of numbers.
Got it.
Sequence of integer numbers only.
Okay, got it.
So
No.
range generating the sequence, and your variable loop variable I is basically moving through that generated numbers one by one.
So it's strictly numbers only.
Yeah.
Okay. And
Meghna, so instead of this range in the previous example, in the hello world example, you had given a if condition, right? If I
No,
is less than
giving
5
it.
or something you had given.
Yeah, I was giving it. I'll show you. Yeah.
Uh,
So for example, if I write for I in range 1 comma 10, okay, if I write if I is less than equals to 5, only then I will print I. So here I am basically minimizing my number of repeats. In general, this for loop is designed to run 10 times. But by adding a condition, I'm further filtering it based on my use case. Now it
but
will
range
only
is not required here, right? If we are giving I is less than equal to 5, why is range required then?
because when you're defining your for loop over here, you have to define what is the sequence that your for loop will run with. You have to define a sequence. In this case, yes, your question is right that in this case, I could have written for I in range 1 comma 6. That would have also solved my use case. But if you
Mhm.
want to limit your condition between inside for loop based on multiple use cases, you can also use a if condition inside for loop.
I think it is to
Well,
handle the range more efficiently in the sense it can be from start to mid to mid, from
Yeah.
to anywhere very properly.
Yeah, you can, if you want, you can also write that and I is greater than equals to 2. So in that case, you can exactly print or exactly take up a part of the sequence as in how you like.
uh, so Meghna, for example, for I in hello world, if I
Hmm.
is less than equals to 5, there, if I'm not giving a range, still it will work.
No, here it won't work because I
If
was
I is less
thinking,
than, the second line will be if I is less than equal to 5, print I.
but
Without
here I
range, it will
never,
work.
no, my point is here I will never have the value 5, right? Here I is iterating through a sequence which is a string. So the only possible values for I will be H, E, L, L, O, and etc. Right?
Correct.
Here will not be, it will not contain any number. So in this case, it will throw you an error. Right? So what I was showing you, I might be showing something else. I also forgot what I was saying, but I was showing you something else maybe. Right? But because here the
We were
value
showing a
of I,
condition of that exclamatory symbol, like hello word, that symbol,
yeah,
F
yeah,
that,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I was showing with exclamation
Yeah,
mark.
and one more thing, Meghna, it will execute for entire range, but it will not execute the inner code, right? The for condition will go for those all the ranges, right? The below condition which you have written.
Here,
Yeah, this one, like the for loop will execute for 10 intervals, but the inner
yes,
part will not be executed
right, right. In this case, it will go ahead and exit. Like this case, the loop will run 5
five
times.
times.
But
Yeah.
in this case, the loop will run 10 times. For whenever the condition is true, it will execute and print the output. Whenever the condition is not true, nothing will happen, nothing will print, but the loop will still run. Right? Because if you understand it correctly, what is happening over here, you're running an I variable in a range 1 to 10. So what is I's value going to be? I's value going to start with 1. So when I's value is 1, we enter the loop and we check the condition. Is the condition true based on the current value of I? No. So it will not print anything and it will come out of the loop. It will move to the next value. The next value is 2. For 2, the condition is true, it will print the value. Again, we will come out of the loop. We'll move to the next value, 3. For 3, the condition is true. So wherever the condition is true, it is getting printed. But wherever the condition is not true, nothing is printed, but the loop is still running because you have defined the number of sequences over here. Got it? clear till here?
Yeah, I think, may I, for and the in, that doesn't actually do anything. It will only tell uh, what the code below has to pick. For example, if you see Meghna, I is equal to less than or 5 and I greater than or equal to 2. That is one particular task. That's the reason one is missing. Am I right? So the loop will actually check the first I, and 1 is less than 5, but it is definitely not greater than 2. That is the reason one is.
Exactly. That's the reason why 1 is missing. But loop will start running right from 1 till 9.
Of course. Got it, I think. Yeah.
Till here, is it clear for everyone? So, how to rewrite and print only the first 5 characters? So, for that, you will have to use a little bit more advanced logics. But, like, for example, slicing and etc. So, when you learn about list, it will become easy. Okay. But till now, whatever we discussed, is it clear till here?
Yes.
What is the confusion, Harshita? Can you please unmute and ask maybe?
Same thing, that code 196, line number 196.
Hmm. Okay, so I'll explain it once again. So when you're writing for I in range 1 comma 10, this is you defining to Python that you are trying to run a for loop with the temporary variable I, and I is supposed to run in a loop for 1 to 10. So 1 to 10, the numbers that will be generated are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Am I right?
Yes.
This range will generate 9 numbers. Am I right?
Yes, 9, 9, yeah, 1 to 9.
So the loop is set to run 9 times.
Yeah.
Right? You are defining that this for loop will run 9 times, and I is the variable that will basically that will basically run through this loop 9 times, right?
Okay.
So when you say that it is a range of 1 to 10, it just basically generates number from 1 to 9, right? It
Correct.
generates a range of numbers from 1 to 9. You are telling Python that I is a temporary variable that will loop through these numbers, and obviously because it is generating from 1 to 9, the loop will run 9 times. Till here, is it clear?
Yes, yes, it's clear. Yeah.
So initially, the first value that I will contain is 1 because
1,
loop
yes.
starts from 1. So when I is 1, we enter the loop, right? And
Hmm.
once we enter the loop, what is the code? The code is a if condition. And what is
Yeah.
the if condition checking? Is I greater than equals to 2 and is it less than equals to 5? No, right now my
No,
condition is false. For current value of I, my condition is false, right?
less than 2. Hmm.
Right?
Yeah, it's false.
Yeah, it's false. So that means the whatever is present inside the if condition will not get printed.
Yes, it will not get printed.
Basically, my if block will not get executed because my condition is false.
Yes, it will not get executed.
So it will come out of the loop because there is nothing apart from that. There is nothing extra in the loop, in the like in the inside part of for loop. There is nothing extra. Just checks for a condition. If the condition is true, it will print. So
Else
my
it will not
condition
print.
is
Yeah.
not true. Yes, nothing gets printed. We come
Hmm.
out of the loop. We come out of the loop and we move to the next element because I have said, right, the loop is going to run from 1 to 9. So it knows that there are other elements. So it will move to the next value, which is 2. So I now becomes 2. So now when I becomes 2, it again enters the loop. That's the whole concept of loop, right? For a sequence of numbers or a sequence of elements, it will keep running again and again until the sequence ends. So when I becomes 2, we again check the condition. Now the condition is true. So I is printed. We come out of the loop, I becomes 3. Again, the condition is true, 3 gets printed. We again come out of the loop, we move to the next. So this will keep happening until we reach the last condition, last number, which is 9. Once I is 9, again the condition is false, nothing gets printed. We come out of the loop and there is nothing more left in range. That's when the loop ends. That's it.
Okay. Okay. Got it, Meghna. Thank you.
Right? Is
Yeah.
everybody clear till here?
Yes.
What about others? Everybody clear? What about others? Can everybody comment if you guys are clear or not? So in general, when you're doing the work of data analytics, if you want to read some particular data row by row, or if you want to clean each and every element in a data set, or let's say if you want to apply the same formula to every value in a particular column, you will have to use for loop in those situations. That's the reason why you are learning about for loop. So think about the bigger picture as well, right? Always remember, for loop means you're trying to repeat an action for each item in a sequence, right? It can be a character, it can be a range of numbers, it can be list of items, anything, right? So now that we understood for loop, now that we understood for loop and we understood range, you do understand that there is a starting value, there is a stopping value. But in case you give something like for I in range 10, in this case, once you print I, you will see number starts from 0. So point being noted, if start is not specified, it's always 0 by default, right? So if you don't mention the starting value, the number that it will start with is always 0. 0 is by default the starting value, right? Clear till here? It will
Yes.
also start from 0 and go until stop -1 value, which is obviously 9. Got this part?
Mhm.
Others clear? And lastly, there is step. Now, step is also 1 by default. But what does step help us with? Step helps us with increment. Like, for example, if I write for I in range 1, comma, let's say 15. And if I print I, it prints every number from 1 to 14, right? It doesn't skip anything. That's because by default my step is 1. Just because I've not defined step doesn't mean there is no step. Step, when not defined, by default it is 1. And if step is 1, that means it is going to print everything, every number. But the moment I increase the step to 2, if you see, one number in between is skipped. Like 1 got printed, 2 got skipped, 3 got printed, 4 got skipped. So step is basically used to skip numbers, right? Based on your step size, you can skip numbers. So if your step is 2, it will skip one number in between. If your step is 3, it will skip two numbers in between. If your step is 4, it will skip three numbers in between, and likewise. So step is used to skip numbers, right? And in the same step, if you give in negative, for example, if I write for I in range 10, comma 0, comma -2, in this time what you see is I am moving backwards. So it will start from 10, move towards 0 in negative step. So it will skip one number in between, but it will print everything in reverse. So here, if you don't give the step, it will print nothing. But if you give a step of -1, it will print everything in reverse. Got the importance of step?
Yes.
What about others? Everybody clear? Can you guys quickly execute till here if you guys are clear? Make sure you're clear with the concept, because you will be now building logic on top of it. So understand how is for loop functioning, how it's not just about printing something. You can do many more things inside a for loop. So think of those things and understand the code while you execute it. Okay, guys, are you guys back?
Yes, Meghna.
What about others? Okay, cool. So the last segment of our today's session will be a little bit of practice because there are more things to follow, like how can you use it with a little bit more control sequences and etc., which we are going to learn tomorrow. And tomorrow we are also going to learn about list and etc. So you will know how to use that with for loop as well. But for now, I have just a few questions, just 6 questions for whatever we have learned till now. And I'll paste the questions in the chat box as well. And maybe again, I think 15 to 20 minutes will be enough to complete this. So maybe by 11:45 we can circle back. But can you guys get started with solving these questions? Okay, maybe you can put a yes in the chat box if you have started so that I can see the participation. Okay, that sounds good. All right, maybe I can give you guys 20 minutes to finish the practice and keep putting the answers in the chat box so that I can keep checking as well. And yeah, we'll circle back in 20 minutes. Okay, guys, are we all done till here? Done. I got 2 done. What about others? Okay, let's quickly solve one by one. First question is pretty easy. Just print all the even numbers from the range 1 to 20, which means if I take a range 1 to 21 and print numbers that are divisible by 2, I will be able to only print even numbers like this. So from a range of 1 to 20, I can quickly check if it's divisible by 2. I will only print those numbers. That's the first question. Second question is, find sum of numbers in 1 to 50. So again, within a range of 1 to 51, I can keep adding the numbers and storing it in another variable, and that will become my sum. So I can start with a variable called total. Initially, the variable will be initiated with the value 0. Like obviously, if I am storing sum of some numbers, initially the sum will be 0. When when and how the numbers come in, I will keep adding it and storing it in total, and this will give me the total sum over here. Okay. Third question, multiplication table of 7. It is also simple. You can take a range of let's say 10 numbers 1 to 11, and you can quickly print the multiplication table, like 7 into 1 is 7, 7 into 2 is 14, and likewise. Next question 4. This is again easy. Print down from 10 to 1 in reverse. The one that we just discussed, just in reverse, you have to print. So it's pretty easy. You have to give a step of -1, and you have to start with a bigger number 10 to 0 and then give step of -1. This will print it in reverse. Next question is print. Okay, count how many numbers are between 1 to 100 that are divisible by both 3 and 5. So this is again very simple. What I've done is I have declared a variable called count, which is initially 0 because I've not found any number yet, right? So initially it is 0. Then within the specified range, I'm checking if it's divisible by 3 and if it's divisible by 5. If it is, I'm incrementing the count variable by 1. So I'm increase the count by 1, 1, 1. So within 100 numbers, it will count the total number of numbers which are divisible by both 3 and 5, and they're just 6 in number. So that solves my use case. And lastly, the last question is very easy, that from numbers 1 to 10, I have to print the square of numbers, which means just a simple I into I. That's it, right? So are we all clear with these questions? These are easy questions, by the way. Are we all clear? What about others, guys? Are we good? Any questions, any doubts still here?
Fifth one, Meghna. The fifth one, or the
Okay,
count. Hmm.
yeah. So
Why are
here
we giving count here?
I'm trying to count the numbers that are like within a range from 1 to 100. You have to count how many numbers are divisible by 3 and 5 both. So I'm starting with a variable called count. I'm saying that right now the number is 0. When I loop through the numbers 1 to 100, whenever I find a number which is divisible by both 3 and 5, I'm going to
Okay.
increase the count variable by 1. So let's say I find the first number which is divisible by both 3 and 5, which is like 15. If you see, 15 is divisible by both 3 and 5. The
Yeah.
moment I find it, I'm increasing the count by 1. So count will now become 1. So the moment I find a number like that, like for example, the next number will be 30. The count will increase to 2. and likewise. Got it?
Okay.
Is it clear?
Yes.
Right. Any other questions? Any other doubts? No? So we are good for today, everyone. Did you guys understand all the topics that we discussed in today's session? And others clear, right?
Meghna, just see the last code, no? It's not giving me the count, it is only giving me one. The same code
Yeah,
which we discussed now.
yes. So the
Might be
problem is,
indentation.
yeah, indentation is the problem. So if you see, my count is within if block and within for. For you, the count is at parallel to if. Like if you put the count over here, it's wrong, right?
Okay.
That's
Okay.
the
Okay.
reason. So my count is within if block as well,
Okay. Let me try.
right? So I've sent the code also in the chat box. I've sent the code file in the chat box. You can have a look at that as well. And let me know if you guys have face any doubts or questions tomorrow as well. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining the session, guys.
Thank you, Meghna. Bye.